I know people with hairstyles that are not kind of central in terms of color, and they are very proud of the feedback they get, from the public, and it's the same with color in houses. Yeah, that boldness, that willingness to basically go towards color really pays off. I just want to make a comment on the preceding slides, how you mentioned landscaping. I fully agree with all of that. And I think it's very interesting driving around any suburb in New Zealand, compared to North America. We still like to have front fences.
Yes.
And fences vary considerably, and it's interesting again when you see a really well considered fence, because that's effectively creates like an eyebrow to the house behind it, so it has a real presence. And something as simple as just the heights is often not considered. The house can often look like it's either sinking, that the fence is too high, or effectively is too low.
I must say my opinion on the fences is, in America, if you look at the neighborhoods in America, a lot of them don't have fences in front of their houses. And I must admit that I actually prefer that. Unless there's a good reason to have a fence, like you're trying to keep a dog in or children are playing in the front yard, I don't think it's necessary to have a fence, personally, because you do hide the house away.
Oh, look, it's a great comment. Not the purpose of this forum, but if you basically go back and look at the start of colonisation and the way that lots were effectively constructed in New Zealand, down to about approximately, I think it's about in square meterage about 360 square meters is some of the smaller allotments, and that's how basically definition was created, by putting fences up. It's a very hard ideology to break away from, and we see it unusually in up in Auckland where you are. Yeah, I do find that it's okay to say it. It's pretty unusual seeing some of these developments that then have a timber fence, basically separating two houses, 2 meters apart.
But just going back to colour, it seems to be sorted now on YouTube. When I was young and I built my very first house, I actually painted it orange.
Nice.
And I was the only orange house in the street. And it stayed like that for a number of years before I painted it green. So I must actually find photos of that. I didn't include them in today's presentation, but nevertheless.
Nice.
The second psychology of first impressions is make sure you don't have an untidy yard. Just tidy the front yard up, keep it clean, clear lines, clear pathways, and also work with what you've got. In this particular image, the house is very symmetrical. So you would try and keep your planting symmetrical as well. If you don't have a symmetrical house, you don't read it as much. But if you look at this image, they've got more trees on the one side, they've got different colors. It looks a little bit unbalanced compared to that. So I think have a look at what you're working with from architectural style for your house, and let your landscaping reflect that. And then how to choose the right color palette for your house. Stick to, if you've got a traditional house, use traditional colors, white, just the classics. A modern house, you can go with blacks and grays. So you can go very different to the traditional. And then if you're in the country, use neutral colors, the soft blues, soft greens, just more neutral colors to tone in with the landscape. Nick, do you feel like taking a question?
And orange and green.
Orange and green.
Yeah, goes with any house. That's right.
Okay, here's a good one.
Yeah.
It's another Nick saying, how do I pick house colors that won't go out of style?
Okay, that's a good question. I think that probably is on people's mind why you're getting a more neutral color palette across a
Mm,
lot more homes. One way to manage that risk is even this photo here where it shows a blue door. You can basically just highlight various elements. That's very easy to do in an older house. And you know how I mentioned that often houses used to have the roofs painted red. Wasn't uncommon for the house to be white, and a technique was that people often painted the windowsill the same color as the roof. So that's how they individualized it. And meaning, if someone buys the house, they can effectively change the quite easily the detailed color, but the primary color can stay neutral.
Well, that actually leads quite nicely into the next
Mhm.
slide, which is the 60-30-10 rule. So use 60% color for the main body of the house, 30% then for secondary, and only 10% for accent colors like the front door, for instance. Because then if you did, you can change the whole mood of that house. If that front door was painted, let's say for argument's sake, blue, as we're going with blue, the house would look entirely different. And
I've
also,
never. Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
no, you go.
I've actually never heard of that rule, but interestingly enough, it's effectively what we, as you being an architect, also what we instinctively often do in
Yes.
design, whether it's
Mm,
kitchens, bathrooms. You know, you can see the same approach, and it's a really good one with
mm,
interiors, and that's where color can actually become a very successful product in terms of individualizing a project
mm.
instead of actually using expensive materials.
Yes, that's true. Okay, our next question from Scott is, how do I choose the right plants for my entry? I would say don't use too many plants, stick to about 3, and use layering. So some high plants, some medium, and some ground covers. And
Mm,
don't go for too many colors as well. So you want to actually highlight the entrance of your house and make it welcoming and not chaotic. Anything to
mm.
add to that, Nick?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I mean, our practice being an architect's practice is very considered when it comes to specialists, and there are actually people out there, if you find them, who are highly knowledgeable about plants. And because we're speaking here primarily about residential projects, they're not often what you may think. For example, just like me being an architect with 30 years of experience, my knowledge of plants is pretty much non-existent. And I just mention that because it's not that indifferent actually with landscape architects. They're generally not. You need to ask if they actually have relevant experience in plants. But we find when you look at those magazines that are popular or even online, which just show absolutely outstanding domesticated gardens, can literally guarantee you behind that is a plant specialist, and
Yes.
they're actually incredibly affordable. It's it's not a lot of work for them to actually do a planting design. So that's different from a landscaping plan, which
Mm.
might incorporate things like the pathways, whatever, fencing, driveways. We're talking about the plants themselves.
Well, that's the beauty of Plan First Design. We've got everyone
Mm,
under one roof. So we've got the
yes.
landscapers, the planters, the
Mm,
architect, the interiors.
that's
A little
right.
bit of promotion, a little bit of promotion there.
That's good.
Okay, then have a look at your landscaping as well. As I actually mentioned with the previous question, just look at layering it and work in threes or odd numbers. So 3, 5, 7, and try not more than 3 colors. Also, for interest, you can have a look at seasonal, so that the garden doesn't look the same year round. Sometimes the trees will have leaves, sometimes they won't have leaves. And look at different textures as well. Go for light greens and dark greens in your garden. Don't just go for one shade of green.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of fun working with plant specialists, because just as you were mentioning lighting, the ones that are very understanding, and it varies with regions quite quickly as well through New Zealand. As we say, part of our natural beauty in the country is the differentiated seasons and climates. So they have quite different opportunities, and like you say, some clients are would really like to have gardenscapes that are consistent through the years. For others, depending on climate, it's really nice when the property actually changes.
And then it comes to life in the spring.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, here's one to where I'm very safe at the end of the camera. That's a bad joke, really. That if you like seasonal planting, probably the direction is to go about as non-native in terms of New Zealand plants. But I didn't advise it. I just said that's how the plants behave. But there's a lot of colourful kind of English style gardens in New Zealand, including the gardens at Waitangi.
All right, let's take this question from Scott. What is the biggest lighting mistake homeowners make? I think, for me personally, I think that sometimes the lighting, the actual fixture is too small. It's out of proportion to the house. So bigger light fittings, and it's quite an inexpensive way to make or to give your house that real great curb appeal is just update your lighting fixtures.
Yeah, lighting fixtures. I think one of the mistakes is, when people use sensor lights, which are ultimately floodlights. Sure. Security lighting can be handled and I think in a much more dignified manner than just a floodlight. The other good thing with lighting for exteriors, I'm actually even quite surprised at this, how effective a lot of the solar lighting has become quite quickly. So that's effectively lighting that has absolutely no wiring. The other thing worth looking into is to get advice on, I won't detail it here, is on what low voltage lighting means, which is another means of actually doing a complete affordable lighting plan on the exterior.
Yes, solar lights have really improved over the years. I remember some years ago they were very, they weren't reliable.
They did very little.
They wouldn't give much light for a start, and secondly, they wouldn't last for very long before they just didn't give that amount of light anymore. But that has improved essentially.
Yeah, I've seen some very, very nice stuff. If I knew the name, I'd give them a bit of a promotion, but I can't remember. They're based in Cambridge, and they do these beautiful ornamental lanterns, which effectively just solar collect. And I've seen great displays of multiple. They're effectively almost like a paper type perforated light hanging, which is waterproof. And I've seen displays of them outside. the other area, it's a bit digressing about solar, is equally with water features. I actually saw an irrigation system recently, which were individual pot plant, like a water fountain that was self-perpetuating. It basically, you filled out the reservoir, and the solar collector acted like a mini water fountain that basically propagated the pot. And yeah, interesting. The flower pot was thriving compared to other pots that were watered twice a day.
That's interesting.
Yeah, clever stuff out there, and really affordable.
Very clever stuff.
Mm.
Let's have a look at another example, just to show you that the principle is the same. It doesn't matter what the house actually looks like.
Mm.
So if we take this as an example, it's very plain, bland, boring, not much thought has gone into it. So again, we'll paint it. We'll add some detail. So in this case, add some shutters, because you need to do something to that elevation. Add your landscaping and your lighting. So it's just those 4 principles that we've applied in exactly the same way. And it gives you, it's like chalk and cheese if you look from the first image to this one.
It's a really good example of house.
Yeah, so you can do anything. This is the last one that we'll look at. Again, a very, very ordinary, you wouldn't really look twice at this house if you were to drive past it. But paint it, give it a bit of a landscape, add some small details, in this instance, flower boxes under the windows, if you're that way inclined.
Nice.
And then the lighting. So
yeah,
there's
very interesting.
work that's gone into that. It's purely just cosmetics that anybody can do.
I think the thing I like about these shots too is it's like you say, that's why you picked the topic. This stuff is essential in terms of how somebody experiences their home. And you know, there's a lot of, rightly so, a lot of interest in things like double glazing, insulating. You take either of those 2 examples you just put up, after you do the insulation in the windows, they're still going to look like the first photo, as if nothing's changed.
You know, and all these examples that we're showing, besides the lighting, everything can be done by the homeowner, should they need to or wish to. The planting can be done by them. The painting can be done by them. So a really good way of just improving the curb appeal. Let's have a look at some questions. Here we've got one. How do I pick a front door color that stands out without looking tacky? Nick, I'm going to pass this one to you.
Yeah, I don't think it can look tacky. That's the awesome thing about the door. The examples that Sian's put up, if you basically apply those rules, was it 60, 30, 10?
Yes.
That adds 100, I think. 10%'s the door, not the end of the world to change it. And but if you don't try it, then it's okay too. But it's just going to look much more, you know, consolidated. It's a shame more people don't try it. It's really good.
On the back of that, I would just like to add that have a look at what the undertone is of the rest of the house. So if you would have a roof color, and if you've got brick or timber on your house, just have a look. Do you have a cool undertone? Do you have a warm undertone? And pick your color accordingly. So if you've got, let's say, a black roof, go for a cool color. If you've got a terracotta roof, go for a warm undertone in the front door's color. That's the only real clash that I can see could potentially happen there, Nick. This is a good one. What is the cheapest? What are the cheapest curb appeal upgrades under $100?
10 minutes of advice with me.
I would say cheapest curb appeal upgrade. Tidy up your front garden. That's cheap, and in fact, it's free. Then just maybe add some small details like doormat can make a big difference. New door handle can make a big difference as well if you've got something that makes a statement. And those 2 pot plants next to the front door. All
nice. Well
done.
Well done, Sean. There's three items under $100. Good work.
All right, let's take one more, Nick, before we move on to wrap up. What is the fastest way to improve curb appeal if I only have a weekend?
I think, like you said, Sean, things like, you're right, it's surprising sometimes. Not often. I'd say most inquiries we receive very highly, like 95, if not higher percentage. People are very proud of their homes and they're well looked after. If you have a weekend, it's things like it's the basics, like mowing lawns, pulling weeds.
Definitely.
Let places down. Yes, it's interesting how amazing how many people I love it. I love commenting on a well managed lawn. It's been looked after. It's been weed sprayed.
How often do you mow your lawn in Wellington?
Depends on the seasons. Like up north, further north, it dries out unless it's irrigated in summer. But generally, most of the year here, it still needs mowing weekly.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's your weekend spent doing chores.
Yeah. Funny culturally too, as you mentioned about fences. I really, besides like yourself, I really enjoyed North American suburbs that were without a fence. They also maintain their they put a little bit more effort, I think, into their lawns, but they also keep them longer.
Yes, they do.
Which is really nice. Right.
All right. That was our topic for this week, and I must admit that we are very excited for next week's topic. So we've got Amy Watkins from Rosine joining us live. And her topic is going to be the next palette, emerging color directions you need to know. So she's going to be discussing colors for next year. And I think we're all very familiar with Rosine here in New Zealand. So I'm looking forward to that chat. Get your comments ready for that. And again, if anybody wants to get hold of us, you know where to find us by now on our Facebook, Instagram, or our website. You can even send comments through YouTube if you like, but the best place to contact us is our website. Nick, closing comments from you.
Well, thanks for asking me back, Sean. Great fun.
All right, so next week will be our last one for the year, so we'll only see you again in the new year, Nick.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
Happy holidays.
You too. Bye.
Bye.